So these are the top 3 reasons you absolutely need a 22 long rifle handgun. So welcome back to the Muzzle Broke channel, boys. And today we're going over my top 3 reasons why you should definitely have a 22 LR handgun in the collection. If you've been in the shooting space for any period of time, I'm sure you are familiar with the 22 long rifle. This is usually the gun that our dads kind of first teach us to shoot with, and there's a very good reason for that, which kind of brings me to my number 3 reason why you should absolutely have a 22 LR handgun in the collection. And that's just going to be the ease to shoot and that incredibly low recoil impulse. As a gun dweeb, I'm always trying to convince friend, family, girlfriends to come to the range and shoot with me. And the first gun I put in their hand is this one. This is the Ruger Mark IV tactical version that I picked up a good handful of years ago. And this is absolutely going to be the first weapon I place in someone's hands who isn't an experienced shooter or maybe has never shot before at all. The biggest reason for that is when they pop off their first couple of rounds, they're not going to experience any crazy recoil. They're not going to experience any significant muzzle flip. It's not going to be a super loud bang. It's not going to scare them. And I know the 22 is kind of like a little weenie round, but to be honest, I love shooting this 22. I think it's a ton of fun. And especially for a new shooter, to put a weapon in their hands that they can control, manage, and feel safe actuating and firing with is such a win. I've definitely been to the range where you see that kind of new shooter be like, I want to shoot the biggest gun you got, and they grab some like 44 mag or like the Desert Eagle for rent, and they shoot one round and they kind of get scared and they're like, all right, never mind, I think that wasn't fun. And when we're bringing people into the firearm space or just to the range with us to have a good time, the 22 long rifle handgun absolutely allows them to pick up on the basics of shooting with the low recoiling round that ain't gonna scare them. So my number 2 reason why you should absolutely have a 22 LR handgun in the collection is just gonna be the cost of both the handgun as well as all of these little 22 rounds. I think I bought this handgun used a couple of years ago for about 350 bucks, which is actually incredibly cheap. And even if you don't want to rock the Ruger Mark IV Tactical, there are plenty of other awesome 22 handguns on the market that are all incredibly reasonably priced. I know everyone kind of likes to do that Glock math of about $600, and most 22 handguns are going to come in well under that. You can even get a little wild. I know that HK has a 22 LR MP5 that you could buy, and I think they're only like 400, 500 bucks or so. So the 22 weapons themselves are just inexpensive, which is awesome, especially again for getting someone new into the firearm space. And along with the guns being incredibly cheap, the rounds are incredibly cheap as well. You can usually buy a box of 50, 22 rounds, usually for what, like a couple bucks, $3, $4, $5, as compared to that like $15, $20 mark of a box of 59 mil. And again, the cheaper our rounds, the more we're going to be able to afford to shoot, the more proficient of a shooter we're going to become, and more importantly, the more fun we're going to have. So my number 1 reason you need a 22 LR pistol in the collection is because this guy is going to work absolutely phenomenally with this guy, a suppressor. If you have never shot a 22 pistol with a suppressor before, you absolutely need to go out this weekend and do it because it is an absolute blast. That 22 LR round has pretty much no recoil to begin with, and when you throw a suppressor on the end of that, when I tell you you can sit there and pull this trigger and that muzzle does not move at all, that muzzle does not move at all. It essentially completely deletes any sort of recoil or muzzle flip. Not to mention, it is incredibly quiet. 22 LR suppressed is 100% hearing safe, so you can even go out there and shoot it without any ear protection. Although I do love this as a range toy, I actually really enjoy hunting with this little guy as well. I'm not really a super big fan of damage to my ears, so whenever I'm hunting squirrels, rabbits, or any sort of small game, I throw my ridiculously big suppressor on my Ruger Mark IV here, and I take it out in the woods. It is absolutely hearing safe, and it's also just a ton of fun to shoot. A lot of weapons, when we suppress them, can kind of be a pain in the ass. I am an AK guy, but suppressing AKs can be a little bit of a bitch sometimes. And even ARs, they're kind of just going to throw a bunch of gas back in your face, and you might not have the most optimal suppressor experience depending on what systems you're running. But I have never had a bad experience suppressing a 22. It completely deletes that recoil. It's absolutely hearing safe, and most importantly, it's a ton of fun. Alrighty, boys, so I hope you enjoyed my rant and rave today about why you need a 22 pistol in the collection. I want you to drop me a comment down below. What's your favorite 22 weapon? Something like the Ruger Mark IV, maybe even something like a 22 bolt action. Those are a ton of fun as well. Let me know down below, and I would really appreciate a subscribe to the channel if you can. Thanks for tuning in.